Welcome, this is lesson 65 in Saxon's 3rd edition Algebra 1. This lesson contains two components. The first is adding rational expressions and the second is weighted average. So let's deal with adding radicals first. When we say radical, you can think of the square root sign because it's going to be in there somewhere. Alright, so I've got a couple examples here, and you know when it says adding, that in algebra that can mean subtraction also. So 3 square root of 5 plus 4 square root of 5. To add those, we're going to say that those are like terms because they are both something square root of 5. So really what we do is add the numbers on the outside of the square root. So we add the 3 plus the 4. Square root of 5 is 7 times the square root of 5. The next example is a subtraction, and 2 to the square root of 7 minus 3 to the square root of 7. Again, these are like terms because they're both something square root of 7. So we say 2 minus 3 and we get negative 1 square root of 7. And we can also write that. Remember, when there's a 1, we don't really have to write the 1. You do need the negative sign, so negative square root of 7. Alright, so here, got a little bit longer one. It's got 3 terms, but they're all like terms because they are all square root of 2 terms. So we've got basically 4 minus 5 plus 12. So if we say 4 minus 5, we get negative 1, and negative 1 and positive 12 gives us a positive 11 square root of 2. Now in this next example, we have 2 different terms. We have 2 that we can add together or combine, but then we have one that doesn't have any like terms with it, so we're just going to really bring it down. So 4 square root of 3 and negative 6 square root of 3 are like terms, and we can say 4 minus 6 to get negative 2 square root of 3. And then basically the 3 square root of 5, we're just going to keep bringing that down because we don't have any like terms to add it to. Okay, and weighted average, this is important for you to know because most teachers, when you get to high school and college, are going to use weighted average systems to figure your grades, your GPA. So let's look at that. Susan's score improved on each test. Her scores were 60, 71, and 91. Her current average for all 3 tests was 74. And that's if you do the way we've been doing for average. You add the 3 test scores and divide by 3. Well, the teacher didn't think this was a fair grade since every test covered all previous material. She thought the second test should be twice as important as the first, so she counted the first test once, the second test twice, and then the third test 4 times to get a more accurate average. So we've got the 60 counting once, so we add it once. The 71, the second test score, she counted twice, so we add that twice. And then the third test score of 91, she's going to count that or weight that at 4 times the regular test. So we have 91 times 4. So if we put all that together, 60 plus 71, and then 91 times 4, and get a total of that, we got 566. If we divide that by 3, that gives her an average of 80.86. So you see that it really helped her, in her case, quite a bit. However, there are some times when things are weighted and you don't do so well on them. Say a test is weighted 4 times and your regular classwork is weighted 1 time and the quiz is weighted 2 times. If you do great on all your classwork, that's great, but that one test, if it counts 4 times as much as your classwork, that can really throw your average. So it can work for you or against you. This example says in the graduate level course Jenny was taking, each of the 3 tests were weighted 20% and the final paper was weighted 40%. Jenny's scores on the 3 tests were 60%, 70%, and 80%. Then her score on the final paper was 60%. So what was her overall average? Well, the first 3 tests are weighted at 20%. Well, her first 3 test scores were 60, 70, and 80. So we say 0.2 times 0.6. 0.2 because it's 20%, which as a decimal is 0.2, times 60%, which as a decimal is 0.6. And then we do 0.2 times 0.7, 0.2 times 0.8. And then the last one, the final paper, she made a 40, she made a 60, and it was weighted at 40%, so we have 0.4 times 0.6. Then we add the 0.2, 0.2, 0.2 plus 0.4, and we get 1.0. So her overall weighted average, when you figure that out, do it on your calculator, was 0.66 or 66%. Alright, let's work our practice problems here. In this first one we have 3 terms. 2 of them are like terms and can be combined, and the other one just has to be brought down. So we have 3 square root of 3 plus 5 square root of 3. Adding together would give us 8 square root of 3. And then we just bring this other term down, 2 square root of 2. Isn't that easy? Alright, here we have 3 terms and they are all like terms because they're all square root of 7. So we simply do the math across. 12 plus 6 is 18. 18 minus 20 is negative 2 square root of 7. Alright, and then in C we have square root of 2, and we can think of that as being a 1 there. 1 square root of 2 plus 3 square root of 2 minus 4 square root of 2 plus 6 square root of 3. Alright, so 4 terms, 3 of them are like terms and 1 is not. So let's add 1 plus 3 is 4, and 4 minus 4 is 0 square root of 2. So really no square root of 2 terms are left. So the answer to this entire thing would just be simply 6 square root of 3. Alright, so the weighted average problem says that the test scores were weighted 70, 80, and 100. What was the weighted average of the test scores if the tests were weighted 1, 5, and 7 in that order? Alright, 70 is weighted 1 time, so we're going to add it 1 time. 80 is weighted 5 times, so we're going to say 5 times 80 is 400. And then 100 is weighted 7 times. So 100 times 7 is 700. And I'm going to add all those up. I'm going to get 1,170. And 1 plus 5 is 6 plus 7 is 13. So when I divide 1,170 by 13, you can do it on your calculator. I can tell you already though that 13 goes into 117 exactly 9 times, so it will be 90. So her average, the average of the test scores is 90. Alright, good job. I'll see you back next time for lesson 66.